Hello and welcome to the Mid-Kent College Careers Team podcast. On this episode, we're going to be exploring apprenticeships with myself, Rachel Smith, Careers Advisor at Mid-Kent, Joanne, Daly, Careers Advisor at Mid-Kent, and we're joined by Emily Rimmer, also Careers Advisor at Mid-Kent College with the specialism of working with students that have educational healthcare plans and additional support needs. So, one of the pathways that parents might find that their young people are talking about is apprenticeships. And as we know, it's really, really popular. Most of the students we see are wanting to talk to us about apprenticeships. How easy is it for students to access apprenticeship opportunities, do you feel?
Yeah, they're certainly one of the most popular pathways that we hear students saying that they would like to take. Unfortunately, there is far more demand for apprenticeships than there are opportunities. So competition is very high for any opportunities that do come up. So we do always say to students, you know, they are a great option, and particularly for those that like learning on the job, that want to get a qualification that's relevant to their job role. They are brilliant, and particularly, you know, they go from all levels, from level 2 all the way up to level 7. So they can be a fantastic way of learning. However, as I say, there is a lot of demand for them. We have seen a decrease in the amount of opportunities that are being advertised, which is really unfortunate. But obviously, given the way things are out there in the world at the moment, I think, you know, a lot of companies and businesses are finding it hard, and there's less recruitment going on generally. So that is having an impact into the apprenticeship market, and there are definitely less opportunities coming through for students. So, that competition for places is high, but that's not to say there aren't opportunities there. So I think it's really important to help students explore what they can do to better their chances in terms of finding those opportunities, and what they can do to set themselves above other students to give them the best chance of securing those opportunities that do come up.
You talk a lot about sort of bettering opportunities. Jerry, in your experience, what students have you had that have perhaps been a bit more successful in finding pathways? What sort of set them apart maybe? What have they been doing differently perhaps?
So definitely going above and beyond, not just in their coursework, but the rounder person. So things like trying to get work experience, even if it's voluntary, it doesn't matter if it's not paid. But employability skills are important to employers. So what you might find is if you're leaving college and you've got good grades, so have lots of other students. So if you have work experience, if you do anything outside of college, that could be voluntary work, for instance. It could be being a mentor at the college, being part of the student voice. It could be that you help your neighbour do their shopping. Anything that helps you stand out will really, really help. Obviously, grades will help, but if you know anyone in industry as well, go and speak to them. Networking is hugely important. So, as Emily said, there is lots of competition for apprenticeships. So if you're someone that puts themselves out there, go on LinkedIn, find out the name of companies and the name of these people running these companies and contact them, use your social media, go to networking events, do anything you can to help you stand out so that your application will just be that little bit above other people's.
Yeah. And as you say, grades are important. But what I think I tend to find that, particularly when I'm talking to parents, is that sometimes they feel that apprenticeships aren't a pathway for their student or their child, because they don't have the maths and English. Now, you know, I know that the reality is, you know, it matters. It does give you an advantage. But what are your thoughts around kind of the need for maths and English? And, you know, are they totally out of the game because of that, or?
It depends on the apprenticeship. So some apprenticeships, particularly at level 2, will allow the young person to carry on with their maths and English alongside the apprenticeship. That might be in a subject that maybe isn't quite as technical, for instance. Others are very, very strict. So if you're going into higher level apprenticeships, possibly degree apprenticeships or level 4 or level 5, they will generally always want your maths and English. As it currently stands, if you're 16 to 18 and doing an apprenticeship, you have to have the equivalent of grade 4 in maths and English to pass your apprenticeship. So ideally, if that young person can get it beforehand, it does make it easier. And some employers won't interview a young person if they don't have it. As I say, some of them will allow them to do it alongside it, but you will have more choices if you've got your maths and English to a grade 4.
But not to feel that you can't look. Really.
No, absolutely.
And a lot of the, when we're looking through on the Gov website and things like that, it will say things like desirable, essential. So they do kind of lead you in that sense, don't they? In that, you're not totally ruled out if you haven't. I think probably if we're being realistic, I think they're probably, anything below a 3, might not necessarily be considered, but certainly those that perhaps got the 3s, for those that say it's desirable, not essential, perhaps we're still kind of have the opportunity to access apprenticeships, particularly if they like that individual as well. And I think personality I think goes a long way as well.
And I was going to say the transferable skills are so important in apprenticeships. So actually, an employer will often look more at that necessarily than the grade. So I think it's the transferable skills that a young person can bring to a role that will set them above other people. So it may be, again, you've got someone that's maybe got lower grades, but actually can be brilliant at, problem solving, using their initiative, working with others, actually really confident in themselves and being able to talk to other people. And actually, yes, their grades might be a bit lower, but those transferable skills set them above other people. So, certainly with apprenticeships, don't let grades completely put you off. I think look at how you are as an individual and what else you can bring, and then really sell that to the employer and say, okay, so I might not have, an 8 or 9 in my GCSEs, but actually, do you know what? I've done all these things. I've done volunteering, I've done work experience, I've done a Duke of Edinburgh. It could be all sorts of different things that they do in terms of volunteering or other things, but they can bring that as something to give to that employer and say, actually, okay, I might not have the grades necessarily that you might be looking for, but I've got all these other things.
And that's why it really is so important, isn't it, that students are making that effort to do those extracurricular things and get themselves involved and that sort of thing. Now, Jo, I know your son went into an apprenticeship, so he came to the end of sixth form and he decided that he didn't want to go to university. That wasn't for him. Why did he choose an apprenticeship?
He liked the idea of continuing learning but earning money. So that was a big
very
thing.
important.
Really, really important. And he was lucky he got one, but he did have to apply for, I think in the end it was about 15. So, it's not easy. And as part of that process, there were 4 different stages. So it wasn't easy, but he absolutely felt as though he was ready to get into the world of work, but carry on studying so that he can have a good career. Because apprenticeships are fantastic. Yeah. You can do them in so many different careers now. And if you feel that you are ready for the world of work and you want to earn some money, they can really be the best way to go.
And actually 15, it sounds a lot, but sometimes that can be the lower end of the scale, can't it?
Yeah.
Of the amount that you might end up having to
Definitely.
apply for. It's not a given, is it? That, as we had sort of previously said, sort of just in general conversation, sometimes people will apply for one and go, yeah, I've applied for that apprenticeship, and almost feel kind of confident that they're going to get that one. But sometimes it will take 30, upwards applications before you find an apprenticeship that will take you. So it can be a bit of a slog. So I suppose a core message with that is, don't be disheartened.
Yeah, and apply for as many that you see that you are interested in. So, it is quite time consuming. That's the other thing I would say. You are doing a separate application for every apprenticeship that you go for. And the recruitment process can also be quite different for every company. So sometimes there's even like 6 stages to the recruitment process for an apprenticeship. So it's not easy, but if you really want one, you need to invest that time into doing as many applications as you can. But also, I would say, have a backup plan. So that might be looking at a college course. It could be looking at university. It could be looking at employment opportunities. But have a think about what those backup plans might look like. It's that old saying of don't put all your eggs in one basket. Try and have different opportunities that are available to you to try and give you, that element of having that backup plan and that choice available to you. Yeah.
And so parents, know how to direct their young people. What websites would be good for them to kind of do a bit of research on? So, I've mentioned the Gov website. Are there any others that you think would be good for them to have a look at? I
mean, certainly Amazing Apprenticeships is probably the best one if you're looking at higher or degree level apprenticeships. Every year they do a degree level listing, which starts, it seems ridiculously early, but actually employers start recruiting sometimes almost a year in advance of when you would start your apprenticeship. So even from sort of October the year before you're looking to start your apprenticeship, that's when they would start putting out that listing. And certainly sort of through that October to January is a really busy time. If you're looking to apply for apprenticeships. But that's not to say they all do it at that time. And that's the thing with apprenticeships. There's no kind of
the research,
set
isn't
rule.
it? You've got to kind of keep your eye out, haven't you? And particularly
Yeah.
the small to medium-sized businesses will generally tend to recruit on an as and when they need it kind of basis. Although we do sort of tend to see a slight peak in application availability kind of around Easter time, because they know that the college and school leavers will be finishing sort of at the end of June. So that can be a good time for the perhaps the level 2s and level 3s for the small to medium-sized businesses. That's been great. We're out of time now, but if anybody has any further questions or you want to know any more about apprenticeships, please do get in contact with your careers advisor, and we would be happy to have an appointment with you to go through your needs as an individual looking at apprenticeships.
The Mid-Kent College Careers Podcast is a Mid-Kent creative media production. Sound recording and editing by Mason Cox and Jack Webb. Music by Logan Calvert.